soul in many ways. It moves the spirit and inspires living beings to become one with the music. Argentinian Julieta Eugenio was just that person from a young age. She's not entirely sure why. Her parents didn't play an instrument, though they played recordings around the house. As long as she can remember, music was in her life. Her personal interest in music wasn't piqued until she saw a piano when she was about 5 years old. It was like magic, Julieta recalls. She was visually pinned to the piano. That's love at first sight. Music grabbed her, and it hasn't let her go since. Welcome, this is Steve Browngen, and you're listening to Strictly Jazz Sounds, your podcast for conversations about all things jazz. On this episode, we talk with Julieta Eugenio, a young woman who hails from Argentina and now lives in New York City. Where else? If you want to get ahead in jazz, you move to the jazz capital of the world, New York City. That's what Julieta did when she was only 23 years old. Her formal music studies began in Buenos Aires at a music conservatory where she studied jazz. Afterwards, she moved to New York, alone. She attended Queens College, where she studied jazz and performed in area clubs with the masters, including pianist Johnny O'Neill, David Kikoski, and Pasquale Grasso. The mental journey Julieta took was immense. She loves jazz, and she knew she had to take the leap, leaving the familiar settings and family, the beautiful landscape of Argentina, and the comfort of her home country to challenge herself in New York City. It seems, though, to be paying itself off, as Julieta was recently recognized as one of the top 10 emerging jazz talents by the Recording Academy in their online publication, Grammys. I think we all know what it's like to be somewhere new, far from home and vastly different from home. Thrust a global pandemic into this formula. That's what Julieta had to face, alone in New York. Then, as if on cue, one of her beloved sisters decides to immigrate to New York for work, which saved Julieta. And those are her words, describing the arrival of her sister. Jazz also saved her. The hard work was inspirational. For Julieta Eugenio, music is magic. I asked her what inspired her to play music, let alone play jazz.
Yes, so I'm not sure actually. I always felt since a young age some attraction for music, even though my parents were not musicians. I remember I have this memory of being at school and having this music class with a piano teacher. There was a piano in my school, like kindergarten. I was really young, and I had this fascination with the piano. I would stare at it, and for me it was like magic, And then I remember also there was a piano in my building. It was my mom's friend. I would go visit her, and I just wanted to play it. I don't know why, but I always had this urge with music. And then I asked my mom to take me to piano lessons. And I was like 8 or 9. And so I went to a music institute and I started piano. And then my teacher, he told me he had a big band with woodwind instruments, and he was like, "Do you want to play saxophone, trumpet, trombone?" I had no idea, so I don't know why I say saxophone, and that's how everything started.
It just
Um,
reached out to you and bit you.
yes, and we started playing some jazz. I didn't know also like what jazz was, and yeah, so it's been crazy. It was like love at first sight.
So music wasn't really played around your house much.
I mean, it was actually, I mean,
It was.
it
Okay.
was it was because my dad, he loves music. And one of the reasons also that I forgot is like a piano was brought to my house. And I think it was my aunt's piano. And he started doing like piano lessons. He's a doctor, but he didn't have much time to play. And I was there, and the piano was in my house, so I asked my mom. But my dad always, he also plays guitar. And he used to play bandoneon. So he's like the one that is involved in music, but he's not a professional musician.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's something that he enjoys doing.
Yes, yeah, he loves it. So I guess it comes from there, maybe.
So when you were about 8, 9 years old, 8 or 9
Yes.
years old, you were introduced to the saxophone then, or
Yes. Like I guess I took, maybe it was like at 9 that I went, 9 or 10 years old. I can't remember exactly, but I took piano lessons. That's how I started, and then I don't know. 1 year after, I started with saxophone. So
piano
it's
is a good place to start, though.
definitely, I highly recommend always, to my students and everyone to start with the piano, because it gives you so much, knowledge from the start. It's amazing. Yeah.
So when you started with jazz, when you were
Hmm.
introduced to jazz, um, what were you introduced to? How were you introduced? And how did you spend your time learning about jazz? Did you study history? Did you listen to music? Both?
So the way I started, it was through this big band in Necochea, where I'm from. It's like a small city in Buenos Aires, and my teacher would give us, like we would play like Count Basie, Duke Ellington, um, Glenn Miller. I remember all these, all the greatest big bands, music. And also, I remember we would play some Dixieland. So that's how I also started playing clarinet. And I didn't know much at that point. I was a kid, and I didn't. I was not really conscious of, it was music that I loved it by then. I knew where it was coming from, but I don't think I had much. Yeah, I was not very conscious, and nobody taught me that. So as I grew up, then I decided to study this music, and that's when I went to Buenos Aires, to the big city, to study jazz. And then yeah, I went to the conservatory, and I had jazz history, so that's where I learned a lot more. And uh, and I always had this vision of going to New York, because I knew here, it was where everything was born, and I really wanted to study this music deeply. So coming to New York was always like a dream, but I didn't know it was going to happen, honestly. It was kind of impossible, because it was hard. um, but yeah, it happened
It did
somehow.
happen. That did
Yes.
indeed happen. Now, you wanted to go to New York,
Yes.
but that must have been a really challenging situation for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Definitely. It was, I remember, so I studied, my teachers over there, the ones that I went to, Manuel de Falla Conservatory, which it was like strictly jazz career.
Yeah,
And all the teachers, they studied in Berkeley, in Boston.
that's
So
excellent. Excellent.
yeah, so I was really excited, because I was taking, my saxophone teacher, Carlos Lastra. He went to Berkeley, and I remember talking to him, and I was like, I really want to go to New York to study, music. And he was like, yes, you should do it. So, he was always really pushing for that. And it was like a dream for me. I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I really want to go there. But yeah, it's really hard, because the economy over there is really a problem. So
It's
it was,
expensive
and
to live. Very expensive to live.
Very expensive, and yeah, the currency, is really tricky with the dollars, and I never, honestly, I never left the country. I never came to America before. Like the closest places I've been when I when I had that age, it was like Brazil or Uruguay, which were like nearby. So I remember when I was on the plane coming here and I saw the map, I couldn't believe I was crossing all the way up. It was crazy for me.
You know, I was trying to imagine what that was like
Mm-hmm.
for you um, to make that decision that needed to come, you needed to go to New York, which we all know is the jazz capital of the world.
Yes, definitely.
And if you're going to make it, you've got to make it in New York, or at least you must spend time in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was trying to imagine you going through that process of decision making. Do I or don't I go to New York? What
Yeah.
what 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 did you go through to make that decision? I mean, gosh, that is huge.
It's huge, and now that you're saying it, it reminds me what I was feeling. It's crazy because, I'm still, in love with jazz, but by then I remember, like, looking at Sonny Rollins videos and all the masters, and I was like, I gotta go there. I just, that's my dream. I wanna be able to learn this music from, like really deep. So um, it was also like all this. I was I was young, so I guess there were many things that I was not thinking about. I was just like all the way in music. I was like, yeah, I had this urge of coming here and see how, the world, and but mainly music. In my head, it was like I want to go to New York, and I don't know. My dream was like to see Sonny Rollins and hug him. That's what I would say. um, yes, because yeah, it was crazy, and then I also had this like fear of. I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, but I don't know, maybe I'm not ready," and yeah, it was very overwhelming because I knew all the greatest were here. So, but I had no idea about the city. Like I didn't even look at a map, or like it was crazy. I was really thinking only about music and the jazz clubs, and of course the school, because that's how I got to come here. That was the only way. I remember I sent a video audition, and then Antonio Hart sent me an email that I got in, and I was so happy I couldn't believe it. And my parents, honestly, I have to say, they were very supportive about it. They were like, yes, you gotta go there. So it was tough though, because I was living with my sisters in Buenos Aires by then, and I think to leave them was one of the hardest things, because I knew that moment of leaving the three of us together, that was not gonna happen again.
Oh, geez.
Yes, so that was pretty, yeah, emotionally hard, definitely.
You said that this music gave me hope. It gave me the strength to go on to
Mm-hmm.
continue making music every day for the rest of my life.
Yes, definitely.
How did it give you the strength to do that? How did you persevere in the jazz capital of the world? How are you persevering?
uh I don't know, I feel like, honestly, it's I don't know if I can explain it, because it's something that I feel is music is so strong. Is I always say that it's magic, because every time you play, it's like you go somewhere else. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm going some to another dimension, another world. So I feel like it's the love for it is so strong that it's it just keeps me going somehow. And I trust on it, even though of course it's really hard and more more in New York, and like you said, as a female, and it's tricky, but I feel like it's just consistency. I always heard, my teachers and the masters, everyone saying consistency, and sometimes you're like, but how does that work? And then somehow it just it works, like of doing. I always have this, the habit of practicing and keep learning, and curiosity, right? I'm very curious, so um I always keep doing it, even though sometimes it's hard. And of course there are some days that you feel like you can't anymore and it's too hard, but then somehow then you're back on your feet and you just keep doing it, and then it's like that. So I don't know if that answers the question.
You are a unique individual with a lot of strength, Julieta.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
I admire what you're doing. Um,
Thank
you
you,
know,
thank you so much.
what could help someone like you who is seeking their fortune in a place like New York, that has the jazz community? I mean, does the jazz community itself serve as your support group, or how is that working for you?
um you mean like in terms of like getting more stuff like gigs and
Well,
tours and
well, there's that, but there's also the emotional component.
mm, yeah,
Um, the you could be alone, but you're not. You're playing with, particularly your trio, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah.
But you are reaching out, and are other people reaching out to you? Do you have support in New York?
You mean, yeah, like emotional
Yeah,
support.
yeah.
Yeah, it's there's definitely a community, and over the years I feel like I've been here already for 10 years, so it's crazy. I met so many musicians, and we became friends with a lot of them. And there is this thing of, reaching out, and, and playing and catching up, which is beautiful, on going to their shows and supporting. um, but also I have my emotional support from my friends, which some of them, of course, they are musicians, and some they are not. And that's very important for me too, like sometimes to step aside from the scene and spend some time with friends, and do other stuff, like get together and go dancing or do something else. That's also very important, and I have to say, I had my sister here for now 5 years. She came for work, like, and that changed my life for sure, because I'm really close with my sisters, and one of them came here to work. Now she's living back to Argentina, which I'm very sad. But
Oh, I bet
you
you
know
are.
yeah, but she's been really a huge emotional support. I mean, having family living far away is really important. So
Well,
yeah.
that's, I bet you that that has done a lot for you. You knew
Yes.
that you have your sister there, and you can bond together, particularly at times when it's really challenging.
Yes, definitely. It's funny how life works and universe, because she was here on the right moment, like when pandemic happened, and I had no place to live, and she was here, and I went to live with her, and honestly, she saved me. It was crazy how life works, that she was here on that moment. So yeah.
Your playing style. I'm very interested in your playing style. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
have to admit that one of my absolute favorites is John Coltrane.
Of course.
And but as I was listening to your style, it was
Yeah.
apparent that he's not a big influence on you. What influences do you have to play the tenor the way that you do? And does Antonio Hart come in even though he plays alto?
Mm-hmm.
Coleman Hawkins,
Well, it's funny because I listen to Coltrane so much, it's this, but that's the tricky. That's the funny thing, I guess, about music, because I'm a huge fan of his playing and all the phases he went through.
oh yeah,
He's been like a really big inspiration for me because he was one of the examples of consistency and hard work, which I identify myself on that path mainly. So, um, but of course, Tony Robbins, he's been also like one of my main influences. And talking back, I would say Lester Young for sure. Um, yeah, Coleman Hawkins too. But I have to say, I heard more Lester Young, and then let me think. Well, Warren Marsh has been also a huge influence too.
Warren Marsh. That's great.
Warren Marsh, yes. Later on, at study, well, actually no. When I was in Buenos Aires, I had a teacher. He was really into Lenny Tristano, and so he showed me at early age, um, Warren Marsh, and Lee Konitz, of course. And I used to play alto, so I was really into Lee Konitz and transcribing all his
Aha.
solos. Yeah, which I got to meet him. I was at his place, and I
Oh,
was.
you did.
Yes, that was a really amazing experience I had in New York.
I bet
And
it was.
yeah, I met him at Metro, and I remember talking to him like like a huge fan. I got to him. I was like, I really love your playing. He was like, oh yeah, I just take my number. With the session, and I was so happy. Well, actually, I asked him for a lesson, but I knew he probably wouldn't want to. But then, yeah, it happened. So I was like, it was amazing. And I always tell everyone that at the end, of course, he didn't want to charge me. We were talking for hours. We played, and then at some point, he was like, "Okay, I have to practice." So that was hilarious. Yeah.
Of course you did. You had to
Yes,
practice.
definitely, definitely. But yeah, so many. Hank Mobley also.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm forgetting so many. Johnny Griffin. Well, Joe Henderson too.
Yeah.
Eddie Lockjaw. So many.
Did
This.
you have you ever gotten into a what they call a blowout session? You're playing with some other horn players and you're just blowing hard.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's a jam session?
Yeah, yeah. I know you play at Smalls. At least you have played at Smalls,
Yes.
which is one of the premier jam places in New York.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, yeah, that happens all the time in New York. Even if you go to I don't know. I used to go to all the sessions. I was there every night. Everyone would tell me like, "I see you every night here," and I was like, "Yes." I was because when I moved here and I was at Queens College. Um, I didn't know how long I was going to be able to stay in New York. So I wanted to absorb as much as possible. So even though I had school the next day, I would be till 4 a.m. out in the jazz
Oh
class,
my goodness gracious!
Yeah, I was crazy, but I learned so much in the clubs. And I met so many interesting people, and I really learned a lot about playing, about this music, about what it means. It was really amazing because I went all the way, and also it was a way for me of feeling not alone, because you must imagine it was pretty hard. Like, I didn't know anybody when I came here. My English was very bad, and I don't know. I would be home, and I used to have roommates, and but I was like out every night because somehow being close to music and jazz, that made me feel home. So that was the reason I was also seeking music, is that I would feel home and not alone. So
So it
Yeah.
was the Smalls School of Jazz.
Yeah, definitely. Fat Cat too. I remember being in Fat Cat too, and other sessions that were happening. There's always like new sessions in different places all the time, and I was going to all of them. So, so it was fun. Yeah, definitely.
Now during the show, I'm going to play two tracks. We're going to listen to two tracks. Efes, is that how it's pronounced?
Which one?
Efes, Efes,
Efes. Efes. Yeah.
Efes, and La Jungla.
La Jungla.
La Jungla.
Sí.
I'll
Yeah.
get it. La Jungla.
La
Oh,
Jungla.
I'll practice that. What should we know about these two compositions?
Well, Efes, it's I wrote that one a while ago. I think by then I was living in Queens when I was at Queens College, and
Is it on Long Island?
I was in Sunnyside.
It
I
was
was
okay.
yes, Sunnyside. I was living in a house with three other musicians, and I was close to school, so it was really convenient. I could practice there, so it was great. And yeah, I'm not sure. It's that soon. I don't have much to say. I wrote it in a very specific time of my life where I was living here uh, and studying and yeah.
So it is
Uh,
part of it. It's the first cut. It's the first track on your recording.
yes,
Jump. I should mention. I should
yeah.
mention the name of the of the
I have
recording.
the album. Yeah,
Jump.
Jump. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Green Leaf label in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But the the second one, La Jungla, I think I almost got it.
Yes. No, that's perfect.
Now this one, you associate this tune with yellow orange hue. Is that correct?
That's Efes.
That's Efes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I just kind of yeah. It's
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes wrong. But La Jungla is pertinent in that regard, representing the intensity of living in New York.
yes, yes, definitely, definitely. I think I mentioned once that for me when I got and when I moved to New York, first time I was living by Prospect Park, which is where I am now. This park is very special for me. I feel like nature, like the city is very intense, so I feel like this uh, little, I say little parks because comparing with the city, but they are huge. Prospect Park is huge, and honestly I feel like it really saved me in some at some point. Nature, like connecting with trees and being there for hours sometimes. I always I love nature, and I feel like that's really a big part in my life. And I feel like being in New York, even when I was living in Harlem, I will go to Central Park and take like long walks or even go for runs and investigate little tracks inside and watch at the ducks and the squirrels. And yeah, so I feel like it kind of saved me from all the craziness in the city.
Was it like home? We're in Argentina. Were
Yeah,
you?
actually, yeah, where I grew up, there's a lot
Yeah.
of nature. There's a big park and it's the beach also. So I'm always been like a nature person. It's really important for me. And connecting, it's like I'm really about energies. So the peacefulness that you feel when you're in nature, I feel like it's really important that everyone has it. It's just about finding it.
Yeah. Yeah. La
Hmm.
Jungla translates into English as what?
The jungle.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear you say that.
Right.
The
Yeah.
title track of Jump, Efes,
Hmm.
and you were talking about the wonderful feeling of walking in nature.
Hmm.
Um, are are you personally involved in anything environmental that relates to um, addressing the issues of sustainability, climate change, or is this just a personal engagement that you have with nature?
It's just a personal engagement. I really want to get more involved, for sure. I know. I think that's really important. Probably, I will at some point. But honestly, it's just, yeah, a personal thing that I have with nature. Yeah.
The Let's talk about the label Greenleaf with Dave Douglas. How did you and Dave come together? How did you and the label come together? And we should mention that Greenleaf is a label started by trumpeter Dave Douglas,
Mm-hmm.
and the label's I think great focus is the
Yes.
musician, as Greenleaf has promoted on their website.
Mm-hmm.
They're they're very proud of the fact that they can create in a community that supports musicians. They said that our independent artists depend on the support of those who give to Greenleaf because it's a nonprofit organization,
Mm-hmm.
and and so their focus is you and everybody else that um, uses their label.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've been great. I actually, you asked me how I met Dave. So I didn't know Dave. When I recorded my album, I was looking for record labels, and somehow, of course, people told me about Green Leaf, that might be a good fit. So I sent them an email, and then he answered me. He was like, "I love your music. Let's chat about it." And we did a video call, and that's how the first time I spoke to him, and. And yeah, that's how it started. Then I remember I went to see him like a show or something, and we finally met. Because nowadays sometimes you don't meet people because everyone is so busy. But I met him, and yeah, he's great. Amazing musician too. So um, I was really happy.
So that seems to be working for you pretty well.
Yes.
And your experience in working with them, can you share any more on how that is doing for you?
Well, I mean, it's been great. I can't say that it's been great because now the album is out, and I feel like they did a really great job on distribution and everything. Um, so yeah.
Let's talk about your trio.
Yeah.
Matt Dwanzik on bass and Jonathan Barber on drums.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's obvious to me that you and your trio are musically as well as emotionally tight.
Mm-hmm.
You really have bonded together.
Yeah.
Why don't you share how the three of you got together? But I think maybe more importantly, what keeps you together?
So it's funny. I met them um like a long time ago. We've been friends since a while now. Since I moved to New York, they were also going out to smalls and all the sessions, and um, I remember having this like restaurant gigs or whatever, and we would play some trio, and then I remember we played at Fat Cat, like first time trying my compositions, and I don't know. I always felt like connection. Matt and Jonathan, they've been playing forever together, so it was really easy to play with them because they are so connected with each other. They are brothers. They've been playing together since high school, I think. Um,
Oh, so it goes back that far. Okay.
yeah, because they are both from Connecticut, Hartford, and they studied over there together. So, yeah, it's been a long time.
At the University of Hartford?
Yes, I think so. And
And that's Jackie McLean, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, and yeah, I mean, and then we weren't all in New York by then. Now they are both in Connecticut, but we were all in New York by then. So we were playing, and then pandemic happened, and I remember Matt. He called me. He just to talk how I was doing, to ask me, and I told him, and he was like, "Yes, you should come up here. There's a lot of nature. We can go for a hike, play some." I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea," because everything was in the city was like terrible. You know how it was, right? It was
Oh, it was all shut down and
yes, it was pretty
oh,
much yeah, scary. So
its own jungle in its own
yes,
way.
right. And honestly, that was the best decision I took, and it was beautiful. I went up there, and we were playing with Matt and Jonathan. I stayed there the weekend. We will hang out, and then I started going like a lot more often, and trying my music because I was writing a lot of new music. So at some point, I was like, okay. I remember talking to them, and they were like, "Yeah, we gotta record this music," and I was like, "Yeah, that's
You have
true."
to do something with what you got.
Yeah, and I would go there like almost every weekend. So we got really tight, and I was having this idea of how I wanted the trio to sound like, and I remember talking to them and like working things out, and since it was pandemic, there was no work, and we had a lot of time by then. So um, I'm really happy actually to have the privilege of having like a rhythm section for me like that, because nowadays it's like it's pretty hard like in New York to do that, to work like really um, how you say, like in detail,
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to do.
So you have a trio, but you don't have a piano. You don't have keyboards.
No.
Did you what did you choose to do that, or is that basically because of the way that the three of you got together?
Well, honestly, I always loved to play trio. I'm a big fan of all the Sonny Rollins
And I was
trio.
about to say, this is Sonny Rollins again. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm telling you, I was watching all the live videos of always,
Yeah.
and Joe Henderson too. All his records and trio, I love them too. But yeah, Sonny has been really an influence. So I don't know. I always really enjoy the space that is that you can feel on a trio, and also my music was always more. The one that I was writing by then, it was a lot like trio, more about lines and a kind of counterpoint between two lines, and then space. And but yeah, space for improvising and creating, I really value so much space. So I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, and it's really obvious the way that you play, and the way that um, Matt and Jonathan have really created that space for you, and
Mm-hmm.
they're constantly moving, they're shifting, they're creating launch points for you. As I paid real close attention to some videos,
Mm-hmm.
and and have learned a lot of about your style,
Right.
and you, it's not like you're doing it like John Coltrane does, but you really have a very distinctive style, different from so many other modern jazz musicians.
Mm-hmm.
They're not playing the way that you're playing, and they're not composing the way that you're composing. You have a very distinctive style,
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
and so is it safe to say that Sonny Rollins had a lot to do with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Everything. I feel like I guess I never thought. Some people also ask me about my music. I'm not sure now. These days, I'm listening to everything too. So I'm not sure. I feel like I have to think when you say about influences, because there's so much. Like I told you, I also listen a lot of country, but you wouldn't say that. so, so it's really funny how it works. But yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is. It's not apparent that you're listening to Coltrane, but clearly, as another musician I interviewed, who is not necessarily in the jazz world. I'm talking about Derek Trucks,
Mm,
but he said, you need to listen to a lot of things, but you need to make sure that you listen to the right things because what you listen to eventually makes its way into your music.
yeah, that's true. That's true. And also, I feel like it's what you choose to, um, to play and what you feel. Because sometimes I would choose to play something like Coltrane but the thing is to feel it. So if you don't feel it, it's not gonna come in your playing. So I feel like it's a lot about what you feel, you know.
That
Um,
that moment.
yeah, the moment, and I don't know. You can be also be playing it, but in another way too that nobody knows that where that comes from. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's really
agree with that.
interesting. Yeah,
Women in jazz are increasing, and the awareness of women in jazz has grown.
yeah,
And you were involved in the SIJ trio, which was named after the members of the trio.
yeah. Wow, that was a long time ago. Yes,
And
definitely.
that was Sarah Slonim,
Mm-hmm.
who was on piano,
Yeah,
Inbar Paz, who was on bass, and you, of course, on tenor sax. And you were
yeah,
recognized for your work.
yeah. We had this international women competition that we won. Um, we performed at Peter's Church. I think it was. Yeah,
St. Peter's, yeah.
St. Peter's. Yeah. Um, yeah, that was great. That was so long ago. I can't remember what year. I think 2017.
I think it was 2017.
Yeah. Um, but
Are you
yeah.
are you
Huh?
involved in any efforts to promote women in jazz? Is this something that you would like to do? Get involved in? Roxy Casas doing her thing, women in jazz. Terry Lynn Carrington with Jazz and Gender Institute at Berkeley.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to see all this, and I think it's really necessary. Um, I was actually, what you say about Terry, I was a semi-finalist on this new musica thing that they were doing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that.
thank you. And then actually recently I performed at the Kennedy Center with Didi Bridgewater and
Oh
her
yes,
big band, and it was all female. So I have to say,
that must have
yeah,
been really exciting.
it was really exciting and very powerful experience. I really loved it because I met so many wonderful musicians and women, and it was really inspiring. I saw Camille Turman there, which I never met her in person, and it was the first time, and it was really amazing. I really admire her. So. And of course, Didi, it was playing with her. It was incredible, you know. Yeah, it was like directed by Emily. I can't remember Frickson something. I don't think I'm pronouncing it
No,
correctly, but
I'm not I'm not aware of that. But
yeah.
Terry Lynn, did she spend time with you to talk about your music, to talk about your performance?
Terry?
Yeah,
No, I haven't met her yet. I hope soon. I
that would
really
be a great opportunity for you.
yes, I really admire her, and yeah, she's amazing. I hope one day I get to meet her and play with her.
Have
For
you ever
sure.
had an opportunity to play with or meet with Melissa Aldana?
Well, yes, I met her, and I haven't played with her yet, but yeah, of course, I met her, and I've heard of her, of course, many times. She's really inspiring, She's amazing, and but yeah, hopefully soon,
Because
hopefully.
it's sort of in a way, not necessarily in the same way as you, but Melissa had to do, in essence, had to leave her home and travel to New York
Hmm.
and and make it on her own as well. And she was fortunate to have one competition, major competition, and has excelled since.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It's really inspiring to see, all all her career, and yeah, I really admire her so much.
Julieta Eugenio has a new album that should be released soon, so keep your eyes open for that. Thanks to Julieta and Greenleaf Records for the two tracks from her debut recording, Jump. We listened to Efes and Jungla. Her cordless trio includes Matt Dwanzik on bass and Jonathan Barber on drums. Thanks for listening to this new episode of Strictly Jazz Sounds. I invite you to subscribe. When you do, you will be among the first to receive future episodes and announcements of new jazz-related articles and photos to the Strictly Jazz Sounds website. I also invite you to join my Facebook page, Jazz Enthusiasts. Jazz Festival season is roaring. Check one out near you and do continue to support live jazz. Interested in being a sponsor? Email me through my website. The theme music is written and performed by Johannes Wallman. Thanks again for listening to Strictly Jazz Sounds. I'm Steve Browngood.